Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson's transgressions. Unless, of course, we're applying the, I don't know, Michael Vick variable, maybe? You know about that, the Mike Vick variable. I don't need to rehash that nonsense. But just something that's just really, really amiss. When Raiola and Cooper only get a combined 1 league game suspension for what they did. But you just yanked the money from underneath Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson. I got a real problem with that, NFL. A real problem. The afternoon locker room presented by Sowers Ford, Lincoln Mercury. This is the ALR Express, by the way. This portion brought to you by LaPorte County Life and LaPorteCountyLife.com. Have you heard the good news? Short timeout. When we come back, we'll talk about that other crazy thing that went on this weekend. Jameis Winston, right now, off the hook for student code conduct violations at Florida State. But can one particular piece of testimony potentially get him in hot water later down the road? Depends on what your definition of what is. Back in a moment. This is the ALR Express on the Arena Sports Network.
Get your best price on Ford trucks, Focus, F-150, Explorer, Escape, and Lincoln MKS, MKT, MKX, MKZ, as well as Fiesta, Fusion, Taurus, Mustang, Navigator, and all other new Ford Lincoln vehicles at the all-new Sowers Ford in Lincoln, Northwest Indiana's newest Ford Lincoln dealer. We offer new and used Ford Lincoln vehicles, parts, service, and used cars. If you are in Northwest Indiana or near Michigan City, LaPorte, Hobart, Burns Harbor, Valparaiso, Chesterton, South Bend, or Portage, there is no comparison to the other dealers around town. We are about to earn your business with top quality service and the most competitive pricing in Indiana. Stop by today at 3930 Franklin Street in Michigan City or give us a call at 219-879-5381. That's 219-879-5381. Or visit us online at www.sowersauto.com. Sowers Ford Lincoln, Northwest Indiana's newest Ford Lincoln dealer.
Dangerous. That Memphis kid is in there almost all alone. No matter who's at fault.
You got to get the players off the field as soon as you can.
I mean, a spectacular game, a great game, and an ugly ending. And Mike, now, come on, you can't do that.
Back here on the ALR Express, as ESPN described the events of what wound up being a pretty big brawl at the end of the inaugural Miami Beach Bowl, one where Memphis won in double overtime 55-48 over BYU. And it was a wonderful back-and-forth offensive game that unfortunately deteriorated at the very end when the interception was made by a big brawl in the middle of the field between BYU and Memphis players. The afternoon locker room and this edition of the ALR Express are presented by Sowers Ford Lincoln Mercury, Northwest Indiana's newest Ford Lincoln Mercury dealer. Guests on the ALR Express appear courtesy of the Verizon Wireless Hotline, Verizon Wireless, and our fabulous friends at the Cellular Connection in Michigan City. Proud to help you latch on to America's most trusted 4G LTE network. Alvin Washington in the building. Don't forget, you can also tweet us at ASN Plus or at Arena Sportsnet. Use the hashtag Afternoon Locker Room. And, of course, there is the flagship Afternoon Locker Room page. Staying on the Memphis BYU game for a moment, I am shocked at BYU. the educational bastion of the Mormon faith that it is, to have done something like this, and it looks like it may have initiated this whole fight. Look, take your loss like a man. Seriously. I mean, this is just another one of those nonsensical, unsportsmanlike incidents that has popped up here and there. Save the two non-shaking of the hands by captains in Big Ten football, one of them being Maryland against Penn State. And I don't know what the heck precipitated that nonsense. I think it happened another time in another Big Ten game. But seriously, take your loss like a man, just like you can win like a man. There's an old saying that says, if you win, say little. If you lose, say less. And that's across the board. I mean, that if that isn't one of the biggest black eyes from sports this calendar 2014, I don't know what is. You know, hats off to Memphis for finally winning 10 games in a season for the first time in, man, almost 75 years, or just a little over 75 years. Sheesh. Great time to do it, and I love those helmets too. Holy cow! Those are looking quite righteous, fellas. Congratulations. All right, let's see what's happening on the other side of town. This past Sunday, Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston, the 2013 Heisman Trophy winner, who is set to face off against this year's Heisman Trophy winner, Marcus Mariota, in the Rose Bowl semifinal game in the college football playoff. He has now been exonerated by Florida State for what was potential student conduct code violations. He was exonerated of all charges against him in that case. Again, all of this is stemming from a 2012 alleged sexual assault that was pinned on Jameis Winston. And through not one but two investigations, one by the school, the other one by the state district attorney's office, both of them came up blank on Jameis Winston. What I want to focus on here is in the transcript, a particular question asked by the judge in the case. This is the student conduct code case we're talking about now. I want to focus on that for a hot sec because there's something that Jameis Winston said that I have a strange feeling, if and when this appeal process gets going and the woman being accused, the woman who brought up the accusations, does have a window of 5 days to work with before her opportunity to appeal goes out the door, and I think they're going to go ahead and do it before, I guess, Christmas jumps off here. But there was something in the testimony that Jameis Winston said to the judge that might get a little magnified in the appeal process. Winston was asked if, in fact, the woman in question did indeed give consent. Well, he initially decided to not answer it, citing whatever this section of the code was. The judge, however, said, that this particular part of the testimony you can answer directly. So, again, the question was asked if the woman indeed gave consent, and he said yes, verbally and physically. The part that might get tweaked here is what I'm getting ready to bring to you. Jameis Winston mentioned that the woman was moaning. And in that moaning, that constituted, at least in his interpretation, verbal and physical consent. Now, I bounced this off of a woman friend of mine who follows this stuff a little bit and, asked for her thoughts on the same thing. And she said, in no uncertain terms, that, if a woman is getting raped, moaning is the last thing that she would be doing. And if you think about it in a common sense kind of way, she's right. I mean, a woman really has to be drugged up out of her mind to even think about moaning in an act of rape. She's either kicking dude's genitals, scratching his eyeballs, screaming to the top of her lungs if her mouth isn't covered, or doing something to draw attention from folk that she's being accosted. But I'm a little leery at this particular interpretation by Jameis Winston because I have a feeling if and when this decision that was handed down Sunday gets appealed, in front of whom will this be heard? Because if it comes in front of a judge who has an agenda of putting away domestic violence perpetrators no matter what, then I have a feeling that Jameis Winston is in for it. Because there are some judges out there that have that type of agenda. There just is. The Afternoon Locker Room and the ALR Express. This portion presented by Sowers Ford Lincoln Mercury. Brought to you this time around by Clarion of Michigan City. 1-800-CLARION for reservations. If you understand my apprehension, my cautious apprehension for not jumping for joy with the exoneration of Jameis Winston, is because I understand the appeals process can be a bit lengthy and can take another total turn. I've seen too many other cases outside of the world of sports happen just like that. So please forgive me if I am cautious in this regard with Jameis Winston. Now, if in fact during the appeal that the appeals judge sees this the same way that the student conduct code judge and the original investigation see it, then either it'll go to the Supreme Court or it'll just die off. I'm truly hoping it dies off. Because if we're going to come to the exact same conclusion each and every time, then something tells me there's a witch hunt out for this young man